The average person thinks finance is so complex because, frankly, the industry tries to make it sound complex. They use words that you don't know, so you don't know what to do. What happens is we just give them our money and say, deal with it. You gotta know that you can't wait till you have a ton of money to start investing. If you can invest in business, even a small amount, you can grow. I don't care how small it is, but you gotta automate it. You gotta take a percentage of what you earn and pretend it's a tax. You're never gonna see that money again. You automate it, it goes straight to the investment account, and you never see it as money you can spend. When you save 20% and you compound it, its numbers are incredible. But then the problem is if you do that first step, but you don't do the second step, which is become an insider and understand the rules of the game. I'll give you 2 or 3 of the myths real fast. One, this myth that someone says, give me your money and I'm gonna beat the market. Over any 10-year period of time, 96% of mutual funds will not even match the market. They've all said it. Warren Buffett flat out said today, he said, listen, in my will, 90% of my money, all that money does not go with any mutual fund, it goes straight into the index. What the index is you get a piece of all the largest companies in the world, but it costs almost nothing to get in. You hire someone because you say, I have a family, I have a business, I have a life, I'm not an investor, I'm gonna hire someone who's a professional. It makes sense, they would do better than me. Unfortunately, that's wrong. 4% of them will beat the market. 4% chance to find the right mutual fund. It's not gonna happen. So the second thing is after getting terrible performance, people say, well, fees don't really matter, or they'll tell you it's only 1%. Forbes says the average fee is 3.12. Now, 1% versus 3%, big difference, right? Here's the difference. Just like you grow by compounding, your fees also compound. If you had 3 people and one gets 1% in fees, 2%, the other in 3%, they all get the same return. They start out with $100,000 at 35. For 30 years, they accumulate to 65 years old, 7% compounded, they all get 7%. And when they go to retire, the person at 1% in fees is gonna have $574,000. The person at 3% in fees will have $224,000. 77% less money. If I said to you, here's a deal, let's do an investment. You put up all the money, you put up all the risk. I'll put up no money, I'll put up no risk. If you lose, I win, and if you win, I win. And if you win, over the life of the time, I'll get 60% of what you earn. That's a mutual fund with 3%.
Well, I wasn't poor by most people's standards, but I came from a family with a poor attitude, if you know what I mean. Because rich, poor, middle class, poverty starts with a fundamental attitude. So I was in Hawaii, I was 9 years old. My father was the head of education, PhD, very smart man, good guy. And for some reason, we moved across town and I went to a school with rich kids. So this is a little town called Hilo, Hawaii. That's not on the map anywhere, but it is. It's a sugar plantation town. So when I was 9 years old, I moved to this rich kids school. And suddenly I realized I was poor because it's relative, as Einstein, it's all relative. And my classmates were mostly white guys. And I was one of the few Asians in the class. And these guys, their fathers owned the banks, they owned the plantations, they owned the car dealerships, they owned the meat packing company, they owned the ranches. And I'm going, how come my dad doesn't own that?
I think most of your viewers out there sitting inside their head are the words from their mother and father. Go to school, get a job, pay taxes, save money, buy a house because it's an asset, get out of debt, and invest in the stock market. That creates poor people. It's a hypnosis train going through your brain. So when people say, how do I change my life? Well, you change those words. I wouldn't go to school because you learn nothing about money in school. I wouldn't get a job because if I have a job, I'm an employee. And then I'd pay taxes. And I don't pay taxes. And I don't save money. And I use debt to get rich. And I don't invest in the stock market. That's why I'm rich. And so the young people who are listening right now are saying, but that's what my mom and dad said. But that's what mom and dad say all over the world. So to the young people, I just say challenge or question what you've been taught.